change what I've been trying to say. Words don't come straight from my head to my mouth. It's such a shame that it fell out of place. Was never me that was bringing you down. Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more? Always looking for more. Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking?
We don't care, you call our names. We don't care, we're just the same. We ignore the ways and we ignore the fight. We need a miracle. We need a miracle. We need a miracle. We don't care when you call our names. We don't care, we are just the same. We ignore the ways and we ignore the fight. We need a miracle. We need a miracle.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here as we continue on the 5th season of the NNSCRA Duracell Cup Series. And today we're in the Midwest. This is Kansas Speedway as it plays host to race number 17. Coming off the heels of what was a very exciting race last week at Dover, full of a little bit of unpredictability there in the closing stages, but by the time the checkered flag waved, a big victory for Legend Racing. Tim Walsh putting the number 15 car in victory lane and now putting that team potentially in a conversation for a spot in the playoffs. Obviously, a lot of season still left to go, including today. We've got 10 races left until we will know the 10 drivers that will be in the playoffs, or the chase for the championship, whichever you want to call it. And we may end up seeing another team kind of throw their hat into the ring here today, depending on what happens in this 81 lapper. Let's take a look at the point standings coming into this one as things stand right now. Very interesting at the top of the standings. You've got a tie for the points lead. You've got a tie for third place. The 19 team and the 8 team both struggled last week. The 0-1 team and the 78 teams both did very well, so subsequently it's very close, even just amongst the top 4 there, for who might end up being the points leader when we leave today here at Kansas. You've got teams like the 6, the 27, and the 93, as well as the 11, with race wins that are hanging on to playoff spots at this point in time. Right now, 8 race winning teams inside of the top 10. So as we look at the second page, it's currently Pigeon Racing still in possession of the final 2 playoff positions. The 31 team right now would be in slot 9. The 32 team would be in slot 10. Only 2-point separation, though, from the 32 to the 48, as you can see there, even though they've got the 99 team in between them. So very close for that spot. And there you see the 15 team jumping up into the top 20 in the point standings right now. Only 15 points out of that final playoff position for teams that have a victory. So keep an eye on them here today as they'll look to ride the momentum of last week. Final page, here's your teams that are still looking to either find victory lane, or for the case of the 77, 74, and 95 teams, they'd love to get a second victory, leapfrog all of the teams ahead of them with 1 win, and be tied with the 19 team out of Pigeon Racing as a multi-win team on the season. But it's time to go down trackside for pre-race ceremonies. It's time to get this race underway here today at Kansas Speedway. We begin things with the singing of the national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Drivers, start your engines!
Command is given. The field will roll off of pit road and begin their 1 pace lap around this 1.5 mile speedway. As they do that, let's give you your starting lineup for today's race from the Kansas Speedway. Tristan Allen going to line up on the pole position. He'll be alongside of Vince Almriego, Trent Dunham, and Jessica Shelton. They're going to make up row number 2. Top 5 complete by Zach Rogers. He'll be alongside of Charles Belding in row 3. RJ Bishop and Andrea Serra, they're in row 4. And the top 10 completed by Bradley Ream and Danny Wells in the car that won last week. Diego Yepes, Matt McIntyre in row 12. William Micros and Chris Washer, they're in row 7. And you're going to have Ryan Brommer complete the top 15. Anthony McCurry 16th. Sean Art in 17th. Dave Campos in 18th place. And then completing the top 20, Stephen Colon and Allie Rain. Zachary Fitzwater and Stephen Pollard III, they're in row 11. Row 12 with JT Bryant and Daniel Bouchard. William Brock and Jordan Lopez, they're in row 13. And the rest of the field, Bruna Harumi, Chris Dollerton, and Nathan Ormond. Let's get ready to get the party started here today at Kansas Speedway. Tristan Allen up through the gears. Let's roll! Early advantage down the back straightaway for the Twix Toyota Camry out of TCW Racing. Almriego gets kicked up to that third groove. Not a lot of rubber laid up there right now, so not a lot of forward progress going to be made to anyone that jumps up to that third lane. As lap 1 going to be completed by Tristan Allen. Zach Rogers will move into second. Trent Dunham going to get a little bit of the wall there you saw into the entry of turn number 1. See how that affects him for the remainder of this race. Didn't look like it was a hit that gave him any damage, though, but certainly stifled his momentum. He then lost 3rd to RJ Bishop. He's about to lose 4th place to William Micros, and they're continuing to line up on that inside to take advantage of the Sega Chevrolet. That's Diego Yepes in the 78. Race lead under contest. Give it to Zach Rogers. Rogers looking to get the 6 car, its 2nd win on the season. Matter of fact, he put in victory lane the first time this year, back at the road course of Pucaca. And Zach Rogers comes into this race a former winner at the Kansas Speedway. It's the 5th straight season that Kansas Speedway has appeared on the Duracell Cup Series schedule. 4 different winners in the last 4 seasons, half of them in the field here today. Zach Rogers winning here back in Season 2, and Jordan Lopez, who started deep in the field, comes into this race the defending winner at Kansas Speedway. The other 2 former winners who are in the series, but just not in this race particularly, since they are either a primary or tri-terry driver for their respective teams. Mitchell Collins was the inaugural winner here back in Season 1, and Austin LaPlante took a checkered flag here in Season 3. Well, Rogers took the lead, but not for long. Now it's going to be William Micros who's going to take the top position. So if he does hang on to the top spot by the time they get around here to the start-finish line, then 3 of the 4 manufacturers will have already led laps here today, only 5 laps into the event. Toyota with Tristan Allen, Chevrolet with Zach Rogers, and now Ford with William Micros. Remember as well that William Micros, a former winner this season in that 93 car. So much like Zach Rogers, he would be looking to make the 93 team out of KB Racing Enterprises a multi-win team, as we're looking at Zachary Fitzwater. Fitzwater's picked up a lot of spots since the start. He rolled off the grid from 21st, and he's already up here inside of the top 5. About to try and take 4th place away from Tristan Allen, or make that 3rd place, rather. So that Foster Chevrolet Camaro is fast out of the gate, and actually the 21, who just took 5th place, Bruna Harumi, she started all the way back in 27th position. So a couple of drivers have really put the gas down there and have made very quick progress through the field, as we nearly had ourselves a wreck right there. Don't know if you saw, but there was contact between the 95 of Sean Art and the 44 of Chris Washer. They keep it together. Matt McIntyre and that 27 I think was also in that vicinity. I think it was a 3-wide situation. They make it through unscathed, at least for the moment. There's Diego Yepes and 78. He was the winner last time that these secondary drivers were out on the racetrack. That, of course, was 3 weeks ago at Charlotte. So he would be looking for back-to-back victories. Ford, Toyota, Chevrolet right now lined up nose to tail. Highest running Dodge, the only Dodge in the field. Chris Washer right now inside the top 10 in the 7th position last time by. Harumi to the inside of the 74. That's Bradley Ream, our winner earlier on this season at Phoenix, or ISM. And already you kind of are seeing some storylines in the early portions of this race of teams that are realizing that now, as we've entered into 10 races left for the regular season, they got to start finding victory lane another time, even if they've already got a 1 in the win column. The 93, the 78, the 74, 95, all up here inside of the top 7. All former winning teams. 27 also, add that to the list as well. Second victory leapfrogs them over everybody else. And you look in the case of some of these teams like the 74 and the 95, teams that come into this race outside of the top 25 in the point standings. I mean, yes, it is mathematically possible that they can still point their way up into a playoff position, but during those 10 races, how many other teams ahead of them find victory lane a second time, a third time? I mean, you can't really put yourself behind that 8 ball and rely on the fact that consistency is going to get you into the playoffs, especially with the fact that We've now run 16 races this season, and 15 teams, 15 drivers have gone to victory lane. Which rather surprises me, to be honest, as we watch this battle for the final spot inside of the top 10. JT Bryant and RJ Bishop mixing it up. But yeah, I would have thought that this late into the year that we would have had at least a couple teams, 2, 3, 4 teams that would have multiple wins on the season, but only one so far. The 19 team out of Pigeon Racing, with Carson Gum and Matthew Rodriguez finding victory lane respectively. Jose Mills in the 38, so I have to actually amend a statement there. I read the grid incorrectly. I thought that Jordan Lopez was driving the 38 car today, but my eyes are playing tricks on me, so only one former winner here at Kansas is in the field. Jordan Lopez, one of the drivers of the 38 car, not in it today. And there you see Nathan Ormond in the 17, another former winner here, and Mitchell Collins drives that car. So got to wonder what advice was given to both Nathan Ormond and Jordan Lopez, and then also to William Brock in the 48, who is teammates with Austin LaPlante, former winner at this racetrack also. Well, a number of drivers that started towards the back have worked their way to the front, but on the flip side, drivers that have started towards the front have kind of faded back. Tristan Allen started on the pole. He's about to lose, I think that's 13th to Trent Dunham, no, 14th place rather. Trent started up towards the front in 3rd position, and there's Jessica Shelton, the 03. She started on the outside of row 2, and all these drivers now running around mid-pack from about 14th to 17th. Here's Danny Wells in the 15 car, taking over the reins from Tim Walsh after Walsh found victory lane last week at Dover. I don't know if there's anything in coincidence, but if you remember, Kurt Busch was driving an Air Jordan car to victory lane a little while ago at Kansas Speedway in the NASCAR Cup Series, and Air Jordan, the primary sponsor on the 15 car here tonight at Kansas Speedway. So we'll see. We'll see if simulation imitates real life. As up at the front, it has been all William Micros. He's about to come around and lead his 13th lap of the day. Zach Rogers and Tristan Allen were out in front for 2 laps apiece. So a dominating performance, at least on the get-go, for the Skittles Ford Mustang. But Zachary Fitzwater right there with him. Diego Yepes and Bruno Harumi, they're also in this lead group of 4. This is going to be the longest race that drivers have run in Duracell Cup Series history here at the Kansas Speedway. The longest race prior to this was 54 laps in total, so we're adding an extra 27 laps on there, which in all rights and purposes could be an entirely extra fuel run for these drivers. And we've managed to stay under the green flag so far, about 20 laps in, so we may end up seeing this race turn into a fuel strategy race potentially. And if I recall correctly, I would obviously have to go back in the annals of Duracell Cup Series history, but I believe that the very first race here at Kansas Speedway, when Mitchell Collins went to victory lane, I believe that was a fuel strategy race. Bruno Harumi takes the 3rd spot, and now Diego Yepes finds himself getting freight trained, kicked up to the outside line. Sean Arndt going to take advantage as he'll move up into the top 5. Chris Washer trying to hold off Matt McIntyre. That's for 6th place. And then 8th place, Zach Rogers, right now enjoying a pretty sizable gap back to the next pack of cars, which right now is RJ Bishop, Mitchell Collins, Burger King and Mountain Dew working together. That's an interesting combination. And then side by side behind them with Bradley Ream, JT Bryant. This is all just outside of the top 10. Jose Mills in this mix. Stephen Pollard III in the 09. Last time these drivers were on the racetrack, if I recall correctly, was at, I believe it was at Riverside. No. It was not at Riverside. Oh, that's right. It was at Charlotte, obviously. And if I recall correctly, I think Pollard had a good run there. And he's got S3 Motorsports teammate Jessica Shelton right there behind him as they're going to work their way now up to the 14th. They can make that 13th and 14th positions. Well, we were following pre-race the current battle going on for the overall points lead between the 19 team and the 01 team. And then the battle for third, that was a tie between the 8 team and the 78 team. Well, right now, third place battle is obviously being won by the 78 team with Diego Yepes run up inside of the top 5. But what about some of the other battles? Well, there's the 8 car with Dave Campos right now mired back around the 25th, 26th positions. Matter of fact, Tristan Allen, the pole sitter, is all the way back to 29th. He's gone from first to last. Back here with Chris Dalwerton and company. Battle for the overall points lead right now would be in the advantage of the 01 car, because Charles Belding right now runs in 20th, and just one position ahead is Vince Almriego. So by 1 point, the 01 team out of Adrenaline Motorsports is currently leading the overall point standings, I do believe. Well, actually, that might not be the case. 78 team might actually be leading it because that battle for third place was only 7 points behind the tie for the points lead. So I think right now Yepes has got the 78 team sitting in the points lead position, but a lot can change between now and the end of this race. Well, William Micros is definitely enjoying that clean air because drivers have gotten to his back bumper, but once they get there, they've been able to do nothing with him. The battling has mostly been for the second position. Fitzwater got up to the 93. Yepes got up to the 93. Now Bruna Harumi trying her fare, but it just seems like as soon as they get up there, they get the dirty air to the nose, the car tightens up, and they just cannot make any forward progress or even make a move on William Micros. Of course, Micros has the advantage not only of clean air to the nose, but picking which lane he wants to run. He forces everybody else behind him, if they want to pass him, to change up their line, and that may put them in a bit of an uncomfortable situation. So Micros right now is doing his job as a driver, but as we're getting close potentially to green flag pit stops, now it's going to fall to the pit crews to make sure that they do their job and execute on pit lane, keep their drivers in the positions they're in, or if not that, help them improve a position or two. Chris Washer. Whoop, we might have some pits going on right now because it looked like the 21 dived to the top sides up the 93, was waving his hand out the window, and indeed we are. Pit lane. Going to become a very busy place. Micros, Yepes, Fitzwater, and Rogers coming down this time. Looks like RJ Bishop, Jessica Shelton, Danny Wells, saw Bradley Ream coming down pit road as well. So, pit stops taking place nearing lap 30, which means these drivers might potentially only have to make 2 stops here in this race. Bruna Harumi is going to give up the top position to Chris Washer as she'll come down pit lane. Fellow Mustang Matt McIntyre follows her down. Sean Arndt, Mitchell Collins, or correction, make that Nathan Ormond. JT Bryant, saw Stephen Paul with the 3rd, Trent Dunham all coming down pit road this time. There were a number of others. Washer may be one of the few that stayed out here, along with Anthony McCrory in the 55. So they're going to stretch it 1 lap further, and maybe their plan is to try and come down a less congested pit road. We'll see if that works out for them, as the Aaron's Dream Machine now tries to bring it down quickly to 55 miles per hour. McCrory will look to do the same, gingerly making their way onto the pit lane entrance from the banking of turn 4 as William Micros goes by them to get his lap back. He is not currently the race leader, but at the moment he might cycle around to be such, as Bruna Harumi's coming off pit lane. Actually, wait a minute. Harumi may actually have leapfrogged him. And remember, Bruna Harumi came down pit road a lap later than William Micros, so her tires are going to be fresher. However, the tire temps will have built up meaning more grip for the 93. So he may close in on Bruno Harumi here. We'll see. There's Chris Washer getting bypassed. So it looks like the 21 car out of No Limits Racing may very well be cycling around to the top position when all is said and done. So great pit stop there for the Milka Ford Mustang. And we saw last week a team that was mired down in the point standings that's really been struggling to find consistent finishes in that 15 car out of Legend Racing. Go to victory lane with Tim Walsh. The 21 car has been kind of running a very similar storyline here. 22nd in the points coming into this race, no victory. Had a great run a couple of weeks ago, though, with Allison Rodrigo. So they've been starting to get a little bit of momentum, and maybe today is the day that they capitalize. Crossing the line officially as the leader is Bruno Harumi, so let's find out how everybody cycled around. Our first cycle of pit stops, and certainly maybe not our last one here. William Micros was the leader during the pit stop cycle's beginning, but he will be second. Zachary Fitzwater now emerges in third. Sean Art is in fourth. And fifth place is where we find Nathan Ormond. Diego Yepes in sixth. Seventh, Zach Rogers. Matt McIntyre currently in eighth, but RJ Bishop wants that spot. Side drafting down the front straightaway, and looks like he will take the spot going into turn one. That drops Matt McIntyre back to ninth, and JT Bryant currently holds the final spot inside of the top 10. Jessica Shelton just got around Chris Washer for 11th. Washer drops back to 12th. 13th place is where we find Jose Mills. Danny Wells in 14th. 15th, Dave Campos, so he picked up some spots there on that pit stop. Trent Dunham in 16th. He's got his hands full with 17th place Bradley Ream. Andrea Serra right now in 18th. She actually just ran her fastest lap of the race, 35 laps in. Daniel Bouchard currently holds down 19th, and SP3 is in the 20th position. He just ran his fastest lap of the race as well. Same can be said for Tristan Allen. He just ran his fastest lap, right now in the 21st position. Chris Dollerton in 22nd. Ryan Brommer currently in 23rd, 24th, Vince Almriego. Anthony McCurry runs in the 25th position with William Brock in 26th. 27th place is Allison Rain. 28th, Charles Belding. And right now, the last car in the field, though still on the lead lap, is 29th place running Stephen Colon. Now, Colon is going into turn one. Race leaders are just now coming out of turn four. So the likelihood, at least for the moment, of Stephen Colon going a lap down is not that terrible, and he right now is holding a pretty sizable gap. And he certainly is hoping that a caution will save him to keep him on the lead lap. Let's just double check, make sure. Yes, indeed, all 29 drivers are still running on the lead lap at this time. And now William Micro starting to feel the effects of what other drivers were feeling when they were driving in his wake. Started to pull up there to the back bumper of the 21, got a little tight, drops back into the clutches of Sean Art, and Art's going to pounce. And that Cricket Wireless Chevrolet out of Smart Motorsports is going to now take the runner-up position. Little two-car tandeming down the back straightaway there with Fitzwater and Nathan Ormond. That allowed them to close up on William Micros, so we may have a three-way battle for third in the next lap and a half. And battle for the lead is on. Sean Art diving it down to the bottom, and he will pick up the race lead on Bruno Harumi. Power move there for Sean, who in just a limited number of starts for Smart Racing found victory lane for the first time in his Duracell Cup Series career, and now looking to be a two-time winner if he can close the deal out. Micros and Harumi, they will go side by side for second. Saw some sparks come off the right rear flare of Zachary Fitzwater going to turn one. Harumi may have also brushed the wall, as now Micros and Ormond will move into second and third position. Very strong performance by the Ford Mustangs here today. They currently hold 4 of the top 6 positions, with RJ Bishop right there in the 2 car. Don't count him out. RJ Bishop and Nathan Ormond, who are now up inside of the top 5. Let's not, or well, actually they're up inside the top 6, but let's not forget that both of them were kind of running by themselves just behind the lead pack when the pit stop cycles began. So they gained something there. More than likely were aggressive on pit lane entry. And it really helped them out in terms of track position after the green flag pit stop cycles were completed. So if they can maybe do something like that again, we might end up seeing the 17 and the 2 up here battling for the race lead. And those pit stops took place between laps 28 to 30. So more than likely we can expect to see drivers making potentially their final pit stops of the day somewhere in the next roughly 16 to 18 laps. And from that point on, they should be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel. So I don't think it'll be as much of a fuel mileage race as we were originally thinking when we saw that this was starting to take on a long green flag type race. And all of a sudden, more players are coming into the picture. Look at this. Diego Yepes, Jessica Shelton, JT Bryant all working together. They've caught up to the pack that was battling from 4th back to 7th. They've got a big run. Chris Washer's right there as well. And I'm seeing a lot of teams, a lot of cars right now that really are not desperate, but certainly hungry to find victory lane. The 17 team has struggled the last couple of weeks. 24th in the point standings. They've got Ormond running in 2nd. The 03 team out of S3 Motorsports, they've been pretty consistent this year. They're 12th in the point standings, but they're still hungry for a victory. That 12 team out of Evans Gardner Motorsports, 27th in the point standings. They're right now the furthest down in points a team can be that started the season at Daytona. So that just shows how much bad luck they have hit in the first 16 races of the season. We've already documented about the 21 team. They're positioning in the point standings as well. And you've got the 77 car back there of JT Bryant. The 78 team, their teammates out of Auto Junction Racing, 4th in the points with a win. The 77 team, yes, they've got a win as well, courtesy of Roberto Crown Jr., but they're sitting 25th in the point standings. Right now, their victory would not count towards a playoff spot as things currently stand. Mike Gross going to pick up a spot there on Yepes, move him up to 6th. Shelton follows into 7th. Further up, battle on for 2nd place. RJ Bishop and Nathan Ormond. The 2 team out of Young Motorsports. 21st in points coming into this race. RJ Bishop still looking for his first career victory. I mean, we keep talking about it. Last year as a non-charter driver for Young Motorsports, he finished 2nd place in a photo finish at Michigan, and then in the main event race, after he had transferred in, finished runner-up in the main event race. So he came very close then to his first career victory, but maybe today is the day, as right now looking at lap times, he is about 0.2 quicker than race leader Sean Hart. Of course, the draft could be coming into play, but just the way that he made that easy pass for 2nd on Nathan Ormond says to me that 2 car is pretty speedy. And Ormond might be starting to fall off a little bit here as well. He's falling back into the clutches of the 21 of Bruna Harumi. And less than a car length now between Sean Hart and RJ Bishop. Sean Hart's already found victory lane earlier on this season. Bishop looking for his first career win. Runs about a half groove lower, but you saw the 95 kind of pull low across the nose, the Mountain Dew Ford. That's going to get RJ Bishop a little bit tight, forces him to check up in the center of the corner. So the run he had through 1 and 2 kind of got stifled by the time they got off of the 2nd corner and down the back straightaway. He'll have to regroup and try again. I believe I'm hearing that idling engine up ahead, which I'm assuming is Stephen Colon, the 47. He's just now exiting out of turn 2 as the leaders enter into turn 1. Would he play a part into the outcome of this race? We'll have to wait and see. That's a tough break there for Stephen Colon if you think about it too. I mean, that team right now, the 47 team out of Lake Effect Autosports, they came into this race the highest running team, 5th in the standings without a victory. And they are certainly going to lose some ground here today. Not sure where the next highest running team, 6th in points, the one team out of Michael Ormond Motorsports, where that car is currently running with Trent Dunham. But I think there he is, 13th place right now for Trent. They came into this race only 4 points behind the 47 team. And do I ask to see me, or is that Chris Dollerton? That is Dollerton. And the reason I'm surprised to see him running up as high as he is because before the green flag pit stop cycles began, he was running 27th. We saw him back there with Tristan Allen and company, and all of a sudden he is working his way up here towards the front. Just took the 16th position away from NNSCRA. And let's not forget the position that 32 car is in coming into this race as well. Right now, as things stands for the playoff grid, they are the last car in. Currently 15th in the point standings. And if Sean Arndt is able to get a victory here today, they would leapfrog up into the number 2 seed, the 95 team would. And that would put the 32 team out of the playoffs, dependent on where they finish in relation to their teammates in the 31, which today is being driven by Ryan Brommer. Alright, so I believe that the next time by, when we complete lap 54, the fuel window should be open at around 27 laps remaining, where these drivers could go the rest of the way if they come down pit road. One thing we have to bear in mind, though, is that the fuel numbers can be different from one run to another, especially with the fact we had the field rather bunched up in that beginning run. So drivers are able to save a little bit more fuel because there's a little bit more checkup. When things get spread out like this, sometimes there is a little bit more fuel consumption. So, you know, a number that we have projected just based off the first run, they may come down pit road 2-3 laps sooner than that, which is why I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple of drivers on pit road somewhere here around completion of lap 57, lap 58, maybe not wait as long as lap 60, 61, where we project that they could probably go. Not sure what happened to fifth place on back, but Shelton getting around Fitzwater. They've lost almost 2 seconds to the top 4. Kind of have your own little battles going on here. Bishop versus Arndt, and then Ormond versus Harumi, and then Shelton versus Fitzwater, which Shelton just completed the pass moments ago. That's another gap back to Chris Washer in 7th. Mike Gross all by his lonesome in 8th. Matt McIntyre and Diego Yepes right now in the top 10 positions. So almost looked like the green flag pit stops have already taken place and the field has gotten spread out. So it may be some mano-a-mano battles here of who and when you dive onto pit lane. Race leader, he's coming to pit road this time. Is anybody else going to come down here with him? They should be able to make it the rest of the way here on fuel. William Micros and Diego Yepes are coming down pit road also. There's another car that was coming down behind Yepes. It was either Dave Campos or Trent Dunham, I believe. Might have been Chris Dollerton. Not 100% certain, as the Mustangs tandem through 3 and 4. Doesn't look like any of them are coming to pit road this time. Well, actually, nope. They're all coming to pit road this time. Boy, they all ran rather high there through 3 and 4, but maybe since they all knew they were coming to pit lane, they trusted that one wouldn't run over the other. Shelton, Fitzwater in this time. Matt McIntyre, Trent Dunham's in this lap. Oh, it looks like Dollerton wasn't the one that came down, so I'm assuming it must have been the 8 of Dave Campos that I saw come down pit road there with that first group. Chris Washer, did he lead that lap? Not sure if he did or not, but he has led 2 laps already today, so all 4 manufacturers have led laps in this one, as Washer now dives down the pit road. JT Bryant going to follow. Dollerton, NNSCRA, Daniel Bouchard all in. And right now, my telemetry is reading that maybe RJ Bishop may cycle out the race leader. No, he's on pit road right now, completing his service. Trying to get that thing full of fuel before they release him out, although that looks like a little bit of a longer stay than it should be. They're not even putting tires on the cars. There might be something amiss on the Baja Blast Ford Mustang. Which, if that's the case, that's a tough break there. This may be the battle for the race lead. Sean Arndt and Nathan Ormond. Yeah, Bishop, I think, still sits on pit road. If we're able to, we will show you with the NNSCRA split cam what happened to RJ Bishop. Don't know if he made contact with another driver on pit lane or what has happened. But we should see this time around, if not the next lap, the 95 go to the top of the board, and indeed we do. So Sean Arndt, about to come around to 20 laps to go, is going to emerge as the race leader once again. He might be able to bypass William Micros for most laps led here today. He has now 19 laps led. Micros had 23. Nathan Ormond cycles to second. Bruno Harumi is in third. Shelton right now in fourth. And William Micros currently completes the top five. Battle on for sixth. Chris Washer trying to hold off Zachary Fitzwater. Not going to be able to do it, so Fitzwater up into the top six. Washer back to seventh. Matt McIntyre and Jose Mills trying to work their way up here as well. That's 7th, 8th, and 9th. It's been a very patient day for the most winningest driver in the Duracell Cup Series, Jose Mills. Started this race all the way back in 26th, and now up inside of the top 10. 10th place right now, Diego Yepes with JT Bryant and Chris Dollerton. The completion of your top 12. Harumi and Shelton maybe going to battle for third, or would they stay in line, try working together, and see if they can draft up to Sean Arndt and Nathan Ormond. Ormond has lost touch with the 95. Do they have enough time? There you saw RJ Bishop still sitting on pit lane. That is a tough break there for RJ. Had a good run going today. Could have maybe picked up that win. Shelton now going to get around Bruno Harumi. Let's look at the lap times here. 95 and the 17 both ran 29.4. Shelton ran at 29.5. So the side draft that she and Harumi had to each other kind of stalled both of them out. That time, 29.538 for Arndt, a 5.30 for Ormond, and a 6.43 for Shelton. So this two-car tandeming for Shelton and Harumi, or at least right now, not working. There you saw Bishop coming off of pit lane. Last time scored 4 laps down to the race leaders. And as things stand right now, the only driver off the lead lap is all 29 drivers are still running, 28 of them currently on the lead lap. That time by Shelton and Harumi slower than Sean Arndt and Nathan Ormond. So unless something happens here in these final 15 laps or so, Sean Arndt, I don't want to say that he's got this win in the bag, but Nathan Ormond dropped off from him unless he might be saving a little bit, and I just don't see enough time for Shelton and company to be able to reel the 95 car in. Unless Sean Arndt uses up his stuff, trying to get away from Nathan Ormond and starts really falling off in the closing stages. There's also a possibility that he could maybe have to deal with the 47 just up ahead of Stephen Colon, who has done a great job here today after early issues of being able to at least stay on the lead lap, but might not be able to do that here, as there's only about maybe 8-9 car lengths between himself and the race leader, Sean Arndt. If Sean Arndt has some issues here, Nathan Ormond might be able to capitalize. Let's remember the 47 is a Ford. Ormond in a Ford running in second place. Also, if the 17 car were to win here today, they're 24th in the point stands. If the 95 wins, that's their second win on the season, and that would move them up in the playoff grid. The 47 team, 5th in the point stands, highest without a victory. So in their best interest in terms of making sure if they win in the next 10 races to make it to the play. Oh! 47 just blew up! He's getting it out of the way. I don't see the yellow flag waving. No caution. We stay green as Stephen Cologne, the engine just grenaded out of turn 2 and on the back straightaway right in front of the race leader. That may explain why the 47 was running so far back as it was all day. May have been down a cylinder or something. And maybe a little bit of a heart-stopping moment for race leader Sean Arndt. Not only the fact that he could have very well run into the back of the 47 and ended his day, but we may have possibly seen a caution come out there at that point in time. But Stephen Cologne kept the car rolling, got it down there to the apron, and so race officials, at least at this point, deeming that the track is clear. And we can continue racing here, coming around this next time by to 10 laps to go. Looks like the diagnosis on the 47 car, engine valve going south. So Stephen Cologne going to be finishing 29th here today, back in the garage area. I think there's enough laps here for RJ Bishop, who returned back to the racetrack, to pick up the 28th spot. So that will improve the position by 1 and improve the points payout for that team by 1. Well, today's race has certainly not exactly been all about track position, that's for sure. Sean Arndt started this race 17th, leading right now. Nathan Ormond started this race from dead last, and he's up to 2nd. Shelton right now is the only driver up inside of the top 5 that started this race, even inside of, I believe, the top 20, I think. Or no, up inside the top 10. She started 4th and currently runs in 3rd. Matt McIntyre started 12th and he runs in 5th. And Bruno Harumi, who runs in 4th, started all the way back in 27th. Well, it's been a very interesting year for Smart Motorsports. Started out as a kind of thrown together team. About 3-4 races into the season. Was then under the Evans Gardner Motorsports banner. Brought in Cody Smart, Sean Arndt, and Zachary Taylor. Sean Arndt found victory lane for the team. His first career victory in the first half of the regular season. And now may be able to become not only the second team to have multiple victories on the season, but he would become the first multi-time winner as a driver here in Season 5 of the Duracell Cup Series. Because remember, the 2 wins for the 19 car out of Pigeon Racing was done by 2 different drivers. So Sean Arndt would stand alone heading into next week at Chicago Motor Speedway as a multi-time winner here in Duracell Cup Series competition in Season 5. And he's a rookie. Nathan Ormond's running pretty much similar lap times to Sean Arndt, so I don't see any battle for the race win going on between those 2 drivers. Best battling right now is going on in the latter half of the top 10. Jose Mills trying to hang on to 5th. Matt McIntyre in 6th, 7th place under contest. Dollarton trying to get up there to Diego Yepes. Lap car of RJ Bishop in that mix, and all of a sudden Bruno Harumi got caught by this pack and was in 4th, now all the way back to 9th place running position for her. Trying to hold on to a top 10 with Chris Washer just behind her. And now Shelton might suffer the same fate as Micros gets a big run on her. That's for 3rd. Matt McIntyre and Jose Mills going to battle for 5th. Now Mills gets kicked up to the top side, so Mills starts to drop back. Shelton trying to tuck in front of Matt McIntyre, keep the momentum going off of 4, and hold the Mac Tools Ford Mustang at bay. Matt's going to have a big run here, though, and he's going to dive it low. Looking to now move up into the 7th, or make it at the 4th position. And it looks like he's going to clear before they even get out of turn number 2. Well, maybe not. He'll complete the pass here. Should be over in 3 and 4. Alex Tanker, of course, winning in that 27 car, so they're in a playoff position. They were 8th in the overall standings coming to this one, and Matt doing a heck of a job up inside of the top 5 now, as next time by, the white flag will be displayed for one Sean Arndt. Well, Smart Motorsports coming into this race, they were 15th of the 15 teams that have race wins this season. They have 3 or 4 less starts than most of the other drivers and teams that started out the season at Daytona. 28th in the overall standings coming into this one. They were outside of the playoff grid coming into this race, obviously, with their positioning in points. But Sean Arndt is about to put them up in the number 2 seed heading into Chicago Motor Speedway next week. They'll be the second multi-time win team on the season, and Sean Arndt, in his limited starts, gets his second career victory in the Duracell Cup Series here today at Kansas. What a drive for Sean Arndt, who, with taking the checkered flag, led 40 of the 81 laps here today at Kansas Speedway. A dominating performance for him. An incredible race car and some great pit strategy that kept his car out in front for a good majority of today's event. And so now, Pigeon Racing's number 19 team has some company up there in the tie for the number 1 seed. The 19 and the 95 will head into next week as multi-win teams on the season. Great day for the Joanna Atwood Motorsports cars. Nathan Ormond going to finish it runner-up. Matt McIntyre moving his way up to 4th in the closing stages. They will bookend William Micros in 3rd. Diego Yepes completes the top 5. So there's a lot of teams up there that have a victory. The 93, 27, and 78 needed good point stage to keep them up there in the standings with those victories and top 5 runs all around for those particular drivers. Jose Mills brings it home in the 6th position. Jessica Shelton will bring it home in 7th. Great run there for the Dodge of Chris Washer in 8th. Zachary Fitzwater and Chris Dollerton, they will complete the top 10 here today. Harumi had a strong race car. Led, 9 laps here today, but fell outside the top 10 late. She'll finish in 11th. Andrea Serra right behind her in 12th. Ryan Bromert will finish in the 13th position. And that's an important position to keep an eye on, along with Dollerton's 10th place run, because remember, with Sean Arndt now, given the 95, 2 wins on the season, they leapfrog up into the playoffs. That moves the cut line down. And the 31 team came into this race 2 points ahead of then cut line team, the 32 team out of Pigeon Racing, with the 32 finishing in 10th and the 31 finishing in 13th. Right now by 1 point, if my calculations are correct, 1 point, the 32 team is in, and by 1 point, the 31 team is out. So that cut line moving makes things even closer for the final spots inside the playoffs, and that's still with, 9 races still left on the season. Allison Rain going to bring it home in 14th. Danny Bouchard completed the top 15, and then Pollard, Bryant, Dunham, Campos, and Rogers. That completed the top 20. 8 car did not finish necessarily well here today outside of the top 15. The 19 car also finishing back in 22nd with Charles Belding and Vince Almriego, who had good starting track position here today, finished all the way back in 24th. So, if my calculations are correct, Diego Yepes and his top 5 run here today will put Auto Junction Racing's Toyota to the top of the point standings heading into next week. So how about that? We had 27 drivers finish on the lead lap here today. One driver, 5 laps down, RJ Bishop, after some issues on pit road. And then we saw the engine expire on Stephen Cologne's Ford Mustang near the end of this race as well, right in front of race leader and eventual winner Sean Arndt. He finished back in the garage area with a valve issue in the 29th position. No caution during the entirety of this 81 lapper here today at Kansas Speedway. It made for some very interesting pit strategy and pretty much showed us who had the good long run cars during the course of today's race. So congratulations once again to Sean Arndt. Second win of his career in what's been a very short career for him, and puts the 95 team out of Smart Motorsports up there with Pigeon Racing's number 19 team as multi-win teams on the season. The journey continues next week when we head to the Chicago Motor Speedway. That should be a lot of fun. That racetrack has always been excitement. That's why it's been a mainstay on the Duracell Cup Series schedules. Hope you guys will tune in for that one. But thank you all for tuning in to today's race from Kansas Speedway. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and become a part of the crew today. We've shown you full finish results. You will see what your point standings look like once they've been calculated pre-race next week at Chicago Motor Speedway. And until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.